Hey guys, and welcome to another guide for Season 6 League of Legends Champion, and in today's guide we'll be going over Leona. Now, I did an introduction into the support role where I mentioned Leona as a basic champion to pick up. This is true, and you're going to find out why in this guide. Now, personally, Leona is a favourite of mine. She was what I started out with, along with Blitzcrank, and she's a very basic champion. She allows you to progress on her, so that you can pick up other champions to do with positioning, stuff like that. You all learn this from playing Leona, because she's very aggressive, and usually you take Ignite on Leona, but if you do need that exhaust, then of course you take exhaust. But in this guide I'm going to explain to you what makes Leona a great champion. In order to do that, we're going to start with her skills, so I'll bring up her skills just now. Leona's passive is Sunlight. Damaging spells afflict enemies with sunlight for 3.5 seconds. When allied champions deal damage to those targets, they consume the sunlight debuff to deal additional magic damage. Now, this is all to do with just a passive thing. Basically, it's like the Lux. You attack someone with a spell with Lux, it'll leave a little shiny bit on them. It's the exact same for Leona. They attack them, it gives them that additional magic damage. Just basically the same as Lux. So it's not a massive, important passive that plays a lot into developing Leona, but it's there just because it's there, and I guess it contributes a little bit. So you don't need to worry about her passive. Our Q is Shield of Daybreak. Leona uses a shield to perform her next basic attack, dealing bonus magic damage and stunning the target. Now, what some people don't know about this skill, this is what you would start with. So you put a point in your Q as soon as you start the game. This can be used to clear wards. Now, this is very good in order to avoid using your sweeping lens, stuff like that. You can instantly kill wards with this skill. There's a lot of champions that have these type of things where you can reset your auto attack, and you can get 3 attacks off in the space of a couple of seconds with this, so you can definitely get rid of that ward. So that is something to keep in mind, especially if you don't have a sweeping lens as of yet. So her W is Eclipse. Leona raises her shield to gain armor and magic resistance. When the duration first ends, if there are nearby enemies, she will deal magic damage to them and prolong the duration of the effect. So, it gives her the armor, the magic resistance. This is very key on Leona. You would max this skill, most definitely. And the more people around her, the more resistance she gains. So in team fights, this is especially good if you're going aggressive and jumping into the fight. So like I said, it's really important to activate this as soon as you're going to commit to a play. So she's an all-in champion. You need to land everything in order to pull off a successful kill. Not all the time, but it does help to secure the kill. And Eclipse really helps with your sustain in the team fight as well. So her E is Zenith Blade. Leona projects a solar image of a sword, dealing magic damage to all enemies in a line. When the image fades, the last enemy champion struck will be briefly immobilized and Leona will dash to them. So like I said, this gives her the opportunity to get straight to that backline. She will cut through everybody just in order to get to that final target, of course, if you're in range. And I'll talk about the combo as well that you need to use with Leona, because her combo is very deadly in order to lock down targets as well, and Zenith Blade plays a big part in that combo. So her R is Solar Flare. Leona calls down a beam of solar energy, dealing damage to enemies in an area. Enemies in the centre of the area are stunned, while the enemies on outside of the area are slowed. So it's basically a 2-in-1. It's got the slow and it's got the preferable stun. If you catch a certain amount of champions in a small space and you get this on top of them, it will stun them. It is amazing, and then you can use your Zenith Blade, get in there, do the damage, get everyone locked down, etc. for your team. So the combo that I was talking about, now usually before you go into a play you'd activate your W, because it takes a couple of seconds to initiate the prolonging effect. So you gain that original armor resistance and magic resistance, and then you'd Zenith Blade onto your target, or if they're close enough you'd Shield of Daybreak, and then you'd wait for them to try and escape and then use your Zenith Blade, or vice versa. If you use Zenith Blade to get into the fight, you use your Q to delay them running away. Ideally what you want to do though, that's pre-level 6. After level 6 you want to hit a good Solar Flare, preferably on top of them. Even if it slows them, you can still flash and Zenith Blade or you can Zenith Blade and get onto them. So it's a really nice piece of kit, and you will see success with Leona. Like I said, her kit is very similar to Nautilus, so if you play a good Leona, there's probably a good chance that you're going to learn Nautilus really quickly. I mean, all that's different is she has a stun, as in Shielded Daybreak, whether Nautilus is passive as a stun, and she doesn't have a hook. That's basically it. That's all the difference. And you learn positioning with Leona as well, which is really good, and your movement too. So the way that I would upgrade this, guys, I'd start my queue, like I said, for that ward kill level 1, then I'd put a point in Zenith Blade if you're going for that level 2 all-in. If you are not going for that level 2 all-in, then you can take your Eclipse. It's totally up to you. And then I'd max my R. So the way that I would do this is I'd start Q, either E if you're going for a level 2 all-in, or W if you want to play passive, and then I would continue maxing my W for the armor resistance and the magic resistance, because in team fights this is what keeps you healthy, this is what makes you really tanky, and with Leona there's no getting away from it. She is really durable. I mean, it takes a lot to kill her, especially in the late game. Early game she's very, you know, she can sustain a hell of a lot, but that Eclipse is very key to being involved in that. So her runes, now her runes are very basic. I like to take these on Leona. 9 mark of attack damage reds, 9 seal of health yellows, 9 glitz and magic resist blues, and 3 quintessences of armor. Very standard page. It's very similar to Thresh, so you could probably use this page for Thresh as well. If you want to mix it up and take scaling, you know, if you want to scale it in that late game even more. But usually you can get the game over and done with pre 25 minutes or whatever if you're playing a really good game. So it's totally up to you the way that you do your runes. Is the way that I do mine. So I'm going to go into the Masteries now, and then the Masteries are 0, 12 and 18. In Cunning I go Bandit, gain 1 gold for each nearby minion killed by an ally, gain 10 if hitting an enemy, because you are melee this time, so you are going to get that 10 gold. Resolve, Insight, reduce your summoner spells by 15%. Legendary Guardian, plus 3 armor and magic resistance for each nearby enemy champion. It ties in with her Eclipse, so you want to take this. It just bounces off each other and it increases your resistance, which is fantastic. Bond of Stone, plus 4% damage reduction, 6% of the damage from your enemy champions taken by nearest ally is dealt to you instead. Damage isn't redirected if you're below 5% of your maximum health. You want to take Bond of Stone on Leona because she's so sustainable. She can take a hit and she can keep your allies nice and safe. Now for the build. Now, I did say she was a really tanky champion, so you want to focus on those tanky items. I mean, you can pick up some utility along the way, but preferably these are the items that I would like to take on Leona. So our core is Facer Mountain, or it's Eye of Equinox. That is because you want to always start with that relic shield. Personally, I'd probably stick with Facing Mountain because it does give you that shield on top of your armor, which makes it even better for you. And then I'd pick up my Sightstone. Mobility Boots is really good on Leona if you want to take anything else. Again, if you want the Tenacity, pick up Merc Treads because they're also a really good pair of boots on Leona. You don't require cooldown or anything like that. Our skills are up relatively quickly. So Mobility Boots or Merc Treads, really, that's all you really want to take on her. For your options, now, like I said, you want to pick up those tank items. You don't really want to go utility or anything like that. So it's really straightforward the way that I build it. Now, this is my personal build. Like I said, you can mix it up if you like, but I'll tell you my build after once I go through the options. So Sunfire Cape is a really good item on Leona because you're always up close and personal, so you want to do that extra damage with its passive. Thornmail again is a really good item because you scale really well armor wise, and also you're doing that extra damage to the ADC without actually doing anything, so it's also a really good item to pick up. Of course I wouldn't pick this up as like my first or second item, anything like that. That would probably be a fourth or fifth item. Same with Warmogs. Warmogs makes you incredibly tanky, incredibly durable. If you really need this item, then you know, you go ahead and pick it up because it is really good. Once you're past a certain amount of health, it will then, I think it's Warmog's Heart, and then it will give you your health back, so you don't need to back and stuff like that. It's a really good item. Locketo, Iron Solari, again I would probably rush this on Leona, but if they had any threat of AP, because if you pick this item up, it gives you the health, it gives you the armor, the magic resistance, so you want to pick this up. It also helps out your team as well, so it doesn't matter if they're AoE bursty or they're just single target, pick it up regardless. Spirit Visage, if you want to protect yourself a little bit more from that magic damage, it's a really good item. Also gives you the cooldown reduction as well, although you don't really need it. Zz'Rot is a fantastic item on Leona because she's very tanky to begin with, so it gives you the magic resistance and the armor. Randuin's Omen, Deadman's plate, fairly straightforward. If you want to catch somebody, pick up that Deadman's, you can close the gap really quickly, especially with my Moby boots as well. And Randuin's Omen if you just want to keep them in your vicinity for that little bit longer with its active, and also it gives you the health and the armor as well. So that is our build. Now I want to finish by saying Leona is a very basic champion and she sees a lot of success. Now not a lot of people play Leona, so it's a relatively good time to pick her up. She actually is a great counter to Nautilus, believe it or not. I found that she's really good against Nautilus because she's a similar kit, but she's less risky and she's got more peel provided as well. So this has been my Leona guide, guys. I hope it's encouraged you to play her. Fantastic champion. Hope you pick her up and see success with her. So thank you for watching, and I shall see you in the next one.